Hello folks, thanks for showing an interest in my channel. I'm guessing most of you are here for just out of curiosity. Let me tell you very briefly about what I'm all about. I basically do little jobs for myself around the garage, the shed and indoors, and I'd like to share some of those things with you. Most of my subjects will cover motorcycles, a little bit of maintenance, a little bit of tidying up. I've also got a couple of interesting items to restore, which I'll show you later. And I've got a room to decorate. Basically, I've got myself a little hobby room come study that I want to do to my own taste. I also got an interest in radio controlled stuff. Now this is something that I've just got into. It's a whole new world to me, understanding the electronics. And I have at least 2 projects on the subject of 1/6 scale Armortek tanks, which is a British company. So let's show you around and tell you what I got. Yeah, it's in 1,000 parts at the moment. They're scattered all around the garage. I've done the easy part, stripped down, and now I've got to start putting it back together again. I'll explain when I do the job why I've done what I've done. This is another everyday run around. It's not going to be some sort of concourse, be able to eat your dinner off type of thing. I'm just tidying it up. I'm doing a few cosmetic makeovers. So that's the GSF 1200, or I like to call it a Bandit 1200. And this one's, like I said, a Mark II. So that's the first bite, 3 more to go. Second motorcycle project, there's a light bit of work on this Honda 650 FMX. It's got the 650 single engine that can be found in the SLR, the Dominator, the XR. It's quite a good, it's a tried and tested engine. It's a great little run around. I use it just for around town. It's got a woefully small tank on it, best 80 to 90 miles. But most of the work I've got to do on this is basically on the back end. I believe in its previous life it may have been used for beach racing, which they do quite a bit of here in a place called Maplethorpe, which is about 20 miles from where I live. The back end, I'll show you, I'll bring the camera in. Yeah, as you can see, there's a bit of a mess in there. Rust around the swing arm. I'm dreading taking that sock off the shock. I reckon there's all sort of rot under there. And there's 2 struts there leading up. Yeah, you can see them there, just between the exhausts. They need some attention. So basically it's tidy it up and just check out a few things, bearings and that. That's a nice light job to do. Bike number 3, Suzuki GS1000. Like many people my age, taken a step of nostalgia and gone back to one of the first bikes I had back in the late 70s, early 80s. I bought this as an import. I believe it come from Colorado in the US. Realised I didn't have the time to tidy it up because it was an on-runner when I bought it. Sold it to a friend. He did all the work. He decided to move abroad and I bought the bike back off him. But in all that time, it must have been between the 2 of us for 10 years, it's never been registered, which is something I'm going in the process of doing. The carbs probably need a little bit of a clean out because it was running before he sold it to me. And one of the other things is the rust on the inside of the tank is in a real crap state. That's something I'm going to have to address. Otherwise it should, once it gets registered, should be a runner. Finally, bike number 4, Honda Trans out. I've had a couple of big adventure bikes over my years, but the most fun I've ever had was on a small 500cc Kawasaki twin, which I took up to the North Cap in Norway. That was quite a few years ago now. Bought a big KTM. Yeah, it was great for the autobahns and all the fast moving roads, but you don't see anything on those roads. So what I decided to do, I went back to basics, bought this little V-twin, and I'm basically going to customise it to suit me. More comfortable saddle, and just turn it into a bit of cosmetic work and turn it into something that's a bit more of a plodder. I do intend to go back to mainland Europe again. I'm hoping to go back to Scandinavia and have a look round, take a few photographs, take some film. So this is another project that's on the go. Even not long ago, I bought a new Yamaha T7. Great little bike, fantastic, light, reliable, but it was too new. You know, it's one of those things where you got a new bike and you're scared to use it because in case you scratch it or wear it out. Well, this thing's seen better days. I'm just going to tidy it up and use it for a little bit of touring for as long as I can. Obviously age catches up with you. You can't sit in the saddle too long. You know, there are times I could spend all day on the bike, but I doubt if I'll be able to do it now. I don't think my wrists and my arse will help me anymore. Anyway, that's that one. No, I'm not touching that one. Right, we'll be starting some new projects as well with the tools that I've got, that I've built up over the past 50 years. Let's take a look. I've got this lovely piece of oak here. The tree was felled about 8 years ago. It was felled somewhere in Somerset to make way for a new nuclear power station. But I've had it in my possession for at least 5 years, and I would say it's pretty well seasoned and dried now. I'm going to try and flatten this off with the tools that I've got and make a coffee table out of it. Maybe experiment with a bit of resin in these cracks, and when I get a chance to age it, I figured on putting the dates in history along the annular rings, so it's got makes it a little bit more interesting feature. The other thing is, it's not really going to be a real joinery job. It's I'm only going to buy some legs for it after I've machined it and polished it up. That should be quite a straightforward job, but it's a new process for me. Like I said, I haven't got a planer to reduce this, so I'm going to have to rig something up with a router and rails and run it backwards and forwards until I get it dead flat. It's a bit curly at the moment, plus it weighs a ton. You bust a bollock trying to lift it, that's for sure. But we'll get over that. Hopefully it'll reduce its weight a bit by the time I finish machining it. So that's the oak. The next thing. Right, back into the realms of hernia giving, bollock busting, lifting. Why do we do it, lads? Anyway, this is something I've always wanted to do. I saw one a guy's house. I went to buy a motorcycle with a friend once, and this guy had an old antique safe in his living room. It had been painted up and tidied up, and it was a feature in his living room. I think he was using it as a drinks cabinet. Well, it's something I've always wanted to do. I finally got hold of one. I'll show you. It's unfortunately, I bought it online on an online auction, and I wasn't aware of the full damage of it. It has been stripped down. There's a nice brass plate goes here. You've got a brass escutcheon and a nice brass handle. And it's got this moulding. It's got this moulding around the edge here. So I'm going to give it a tidy up paint job. I was lucky. It came without a key, but having spent 5 or 6 years of my life as a locksmith, I managed to read the lock and recut a key for it. So we got a key to lock stuff up. Going to do the internals. Obviously I go into more detail when I actually do the job. I'll quickly show you the damage around the bottom of it. It's rotted out. It must have sat in a damp shed or something, but the bottom of it's rotted, and I've managed to purchase some steel plate for it. But I'll give you a quick look at it. Let me grab the camera. There we go. There we go. We've got a little bit of damage there. Now for something completely different. Let me switch it off. Right, one Armortek, 1/6 scale, Stug 3, or Stormgeschütz as its correct name. I need to refurbish this. As you can see, it's a bit of a beast. Now this one only weighs in about 65-70 kilos, and it is another heavy weight to move around. Unfortunately, it can only move around under its own steam, which means you can't carry it. I've got this trolley, but it's no good. This box has got casters on it, but it's not too good on rough ground. What I've got to do is basically tidy it up. It's got a lot of mud and crud on it from a trip that I did to Holland 2 years ago now, and I've hardly touched it since. It needs a big tidy up. I want to improve the sound. I want to improve the paint on it because I think it's a bit harsh. And there's a few little details I want to do, but I don't really want to go over the top. This was my first build and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It certainly gets you hooked. Apart from that, we're going to strip down the top half of it. And like I said, I want to improve the sound. All I can do for that, you can fit an amplifier, but I'm just going to box in the speaker and see if that gives it a little bit of an improvement. Tidy up some wiring inside. There's a few screws that have dropped off from the hinges and that. They've dropped inside, that sort of thing I've got to retrieve. Give it a big tidy up, and I'm off to a huge Armortek meeting in Germany in August, which I'd love to be able to film. And hopefully this will be ready by then. there'll be a good cross-section of Armortek models there. I don't know if there'll be many what they call scratch-built, home-built models, but these are all metal. Now, the other thing is, I'm going to move the camera around. Excuse me. Part 2 of this project is going to be another Armortek model. And that one, apparently, when it's done, weighs in of about over 120 kilos. I bought it for one specific reason. I wanted to do some detailing on some of the internal parts, basically the crew compartments. And this one was compatible because the drive motors are at the back, and that means I've got all the space at the front compartments for the driver and the radio operator. I want to be able to synchronise their movements, the figures that is, and try and synchronise them with basically with the joysticks, the radio operator moving around. Yeah, people do put like action figures on these vehicles, and they're all normally always static. You can get some basic movements from animatronic companies, and some people have set stuff up. But I wanted to have a go at that. I'll do that as a build, but I'm not going to do a nut and bolt build. There are other people on YouTube that will do that. But I'm just going to go over the basics, but spend more time on trying to find my way around the electronics and trying to set things up the way that I want them, and to try and manufacture and fabricate parts myself. I'll end this little final piece with another clip from the Stug running across the garden last summer. The study, or the hobby room. This will probably be the first job that I complete. Well, I say complete, which I will attempt to film. A small decorating job in a room that has become a bit of a junk room since we moved in here 3 years ago. I'll show you around and show you what sort of tip it looks like. As you can see, there is rubbish everywhere. Most of it's mine, I must admit. What I intend to do, this homemade set of cabinets will be just painted. I'm going to paper 2 walls, and I'm going to build a bench, come desk in this corner at this end using old scaffold boards, and run a set of shelves up this corner here, which I'm going to make something myself from piping and attempt a bit of welding. So this is going to be the first job that I'm going to do. I feel that once I've got myself in a comfortable studio, somewhere where I can do my research, editing, I'll be a lot happier before I carry on with anything else. Like I said, virtually all the jobs that I've shown you, all these little projects that I've shown you, are some of the things I'm familiar with, some things I'm not. So it's a big old learning curve, and I'm always open to other people's advice. I might not take it, but I'm always open to other ways of doing things. So we'll head back to the shed. Well folks, there's certainly plenty of excuse me, I'm a sickly child this week. In addition to what you've already seen, I'll also be spending a year with a bunch of local motorcycle riders. I joined the group when I moved up here, knowing I'd never be working in Boston. I needed some friends, so I got involved with a group of motorcycle riders who are all retired, and I'll be spending a year with them. In addition to that, what was mentioned in YouTube, that punk rock got mentioned, well, I put it on the description. Now, if you're my age, you may remember it. Back in the mid to late 70s, I was a teenager. I wrote a novel about a gang of us. I wrote it over 20 years ago when we lost one of our friends, sadly. And I decided, instead of getting it published, I'm going to read it in chapters to you. So you might even get a mention, or you'll certainly get to know what punk rock was like in the suburbs of West London, where I grew up. So I'm going to give you the usual spiel. If you like what you see, like and subscribe. Any comments, I'll answer them the best I can. And I'll see. Oh yeah, so the next time you'll see me, I'll be wearing my painting and decorating hat. So the next definite chapters of this channel is going to be decorating that study. And I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.